unless something's changed, I'm watching TV, I'm on the internet. I haven't seen anything in regards to the Pelicans trading Anthony Davis. So it looks like he's going to remain. Chris, let's start with the Pelicans' perspective. Was that the right move?
Unquestionably. I mean, I think it would have been foolish of them to trade him before the deadline. The only way I could have seen a deal happening with the Lakers would have been if the Lakers had gotten a third or fourth team involved and gotten a star to New Orleans in that deal. So maybe I'm just throwing out a name. Like if they could have got Portland involved and Damian Lillard would have went to New Orleans or something like that. Other than that, it just didn't make sense to me why New Orleans would make this move when Boston, who, may or may not be able to make a better offer, couldn't even do it until June or July. When the Knicks, who, may or may not be willing to give up the first or second pick, can't do that until May or June or July. So like other teams couldn't even put their best foot forward on the trade market. So why would I do it now when I think they can get a good package from the Lakers this summer?
Yeah, if that package still exists. What about the Lakers? They made one trade. They got Mike Muscala, and they made a crosstown trade where Beasley was gone. They traded Beasley, and they traded what's the big kid who's actually
Zubac. I'm surprised they let Zubac go because I think he's their best offensive big. I think JaVale McGee and Tyson Chandler are similar in that they're both kind of limited offensively. They're decent rim protectors. But I was very surprised that they let Zubac go because I think he's a pretty good player.
Well, this admits that they made a mistake in the offseason not re-signing Brook Lopez. They need somebody who's got a reputation as a stretch big, and that's what they got.
Right.
And I think they overpay. Beasley's contract, Clippers will buy out, right? And Zubac is only 21 years old. I think the Clippers won the deal because the Lakers admitting a mistake in the offseason. They've added 2 shooters. They have one open roster spot. Will that be Carmelo Anthony's roster
All the
spot? Speculation
is that it's going to be Melo, which I look at this point. What's the harm? You know what I mean? I mean this season has really turned upside down for the Lakers. So what's the problem in bringing in Melo? Do I think it'll work? Not really. I don't think it'll be anything great. But I've always said this about Melo since he's been out of the league. He's better than most of the players in the league. This is not that he's not still an NBA quality player. It's just that there's really no fit for him anywhere, and I don't think this is a great fit. We've seen LeBron do this before. He brought Dwayne Wade back to Cleveland. Derrick Rose was in Cleveland. All these things he wants to make happen, but I just don't see this being a great fit with Melo with the Lakers. And it'll be interesting if Melo's not getting a lot of playing time. He's obviously not going to be happy. And what's that going to, what will come of that if indeed that's the case?
Dude, he didn't make it to Thanksgiving in Houston.
Right. Well, Houston is a team that's playing for something. At this point, what are the Lakers playing for?
No, but
they don't make the playoffs, and that's it.
But my point is, look, Houston wasn't even willing to see. There's something about how he purports himself, what he does, that Houston.
What it is that he still thinks he's a star. He still thinks he's a star. If he were to exit gracefully like a Paul Pierce, even a Gary Payton, a Vince Carter, guys that understood I'm no longer a star, but I just want to be a part of the team. I'll play a role. Even Dwayne Wade's done that. Then he would be fine. But he's going out like Allen Iverson, where I still think I'm the 20-point scorer. I still think I should get at least 15 shots a night. I still think I should start. And the one thing he has going in this whole thing, Doug, is LeBron. That's his boy. And we know LeBron is running the franchise. So that's about all he has going for him. But I'm with you. I mean, Houston was never a good fit because he completely is the opposite of their style of play. They want to shoot threes all the time. That's not his game. They want to move, So I just think I would not bring Melo to L.A. if I were the Lakers. But at this point, they've had so much go wrong. I'm just like, well, what's one more problem there?
Correct. Yeah, that's a month ago. I would have told you no way that ruins the chemistry on the team. Now they have no chemistry on the team, so
right. You're right.
At least I know someone will talk to LeBron since no one else seems to want to. Did you? I don't know if you heard this. LeBron just said that they shoot around today at the Boston Garden, get ready to take on the Celtics. He said he's not. There's nothing more he has to play for. He's not chasing anything. Why would he say that?
I think that to lower, I don't know if I should say lower expectations, if that's the right phrase, but it's if he doesn't win another title, which if I had to bet, gun to my head, I don't think LeBron James wins another championship. And I might say that even if they get Anthony Davis. But talking to LeBron's guys, this has been going on for really since he's been in LA, since last summer. This is not new. I've heard this plenty of times from them that, hey, LeBron's proved everything. He's got his 3 championships. He won Cleveland a championship. He's one of the best. They didn't use this phrase, but, he's on the Mount Rushmore of NBA players. Some people think he's the greatest of all time. You and I don't believe that, but obviously a lot of these millennials do. So that's kind of been the rallying cry for his group for a while now. And I think this is the first time we've heard him say it publicly. This actually, too, Doug, I think you could even relate this to when he said, remember when he said in that episode of, I think, More Than an Athlete, I'm the greatest player of all time now, after he beat Golden State. This, all kind of goes together. If he truly feels he's the greatest player of all time, then he certainly doesn't feel like he has anything left to prove. And I think that could be, if he doesn't win another ring, he can go with the narrative of, hey, I did everything I needed to do. Don't look down at me because I couldn't get the Lakers a ring.
Chris Broussard, our guest. You can hear him on The Odd Couple every day at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, alongside his everyone's crazy Uncle Rob Parker on The Odd Couple. Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. All right, since the Lakers did nothing and appear to be a bit of a dumpster fire right now, let's get to the stuff that does, in fact, matter. The East, with the exception of the Celtics, all 3 of the other top teams in the East added a big piece. Who made the best acquisition? For people who are just catching up, Marc Gasol is now a member of the Toronto Raptors. Let's see here. The Sixers added Tobias Harris and could still add some other pieces. They added some other pieces as well, and they traded away Markelle Fultz. We'll get to that in a second.
Right.
And then
they got Jonathan Simmons, who I like. I like him a lot.
The Bucks added Nikola Mirotic, who obviously had a great playoff series last year and gives them more shooting around Giannis. Who got better?
Well, I think they all got better. I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I mean, Mirotic is a great shooter, and you know how Milwaukee plays. I mean, they spread the floor around Giannis, and they pick you apart on the perimeter, or he's going to get to the basket at will. So I think he'll be a great fit for them, just gives them another weapon for the postseason. Toronto, you know how great of a passer Marc Gasol is. That's despite having Kawhi as a high scorer, that's a team that moves the ball pretty well, and I think his passing will fit in really well with that team. So they got better. And then Philadelphia, Tobias Harris, who I think is not only a good help this year, but he's insurance in case they decide they don't want to re-sign Jimmy Butler. I know there's talk right now that they're going to try to have a big 4 with Embiid, Simmons, Butler, and Tobias. I tend to think that they may let Butler walk. And I think Tobias, though he's not as good as Butler, he's a better fit because he can handle being the third guy. He doesn't have a huge ego. He's a great guy. And he's a shooter. He's a 20-point scorer who can shoot better than Butler, so I think he helps in floor spacing. And then Jonathan Simmons is athletic. I think he can defend. He played in the San Antonio system, so he knows Brett Brown, and I think he's got some winning intangibles coming from San Antonio. So I actually think they got better. My problem with Philadelphia And I love Simmons and Embiid, but I don't think that team right now, Doug, has the intangibles to win the East. I don't think they execute particularly well. I don't think Simmons and Embiid are mature enough yet to win the East. I think whenever they play Boston, Brett Brown's a good coach, but Brad Stevens he outcoaches them when they meet. And like that series last year could have went 4-1 Philly, but down the stretch of every game pretty much, Philly made mistakes and Boston didn't. And Boston drew up the right plays out of timeouts and executed properly, and they beat them. If Philly can avoid Boston, they could go pretty far. But if they meet Boston, they're not. There's no way I see them beating Boston, even though they probably have more talent. So, but to answer your question, I think all four of these teams, or these three teams, got better. It's hard. It's really hard for me to pick a best team in the East right now because I think Milwaukee, Toronto, and Boston are all very close, pretty much neck and neck in the East.
Let me ask you about what Kevin Durant had to say. Last night they blew out the San Antonio Spurs. He hadn't spoken to the media in a couple of days. Here's what he said afterwards.
To do with the Knicks, I don't know who traded Porzingis. They got nothing to do with me. I'm trying to play basketball. Y'all come here every day, ask me about free agency, ask my teammates, my coaches. You rile up the fans about it. Y'all let us play basketball. That's all I'm saying. And now when I don't want to talk to y'all, it's a problem with me. Come on, man. Grow up.
Now, first, I'll say this about whether it's LeBron's Instagram last night about Harrison Barnes being traded in game, even though Harrison Barnes apparently had been told about the trade before the game, right? Or it's KD. Like, look, if you guys sign long-term deals and you didn't try and blow up your team the way that LeBron has, like, maybe we wouldn't ask as many questions. On the other hand, he does have a point. Like, look, the decision's not till July. It's only February. They're still figuring out how to play together. What's your take on Kevin Durant and what he said about how he's being covered?
Well, I get it, Doug, from a human perspective, and I think you can relate to it too. It's tough when you're being psychoanalyzed and speculated about all the time. And some of the speculation and psychoanalysis is just wrong. But here's the problem, and what Kevin is not recognizing. This is what comes with any job in the public sphere. Whether you're a politician, an actor, actress, entertainer, whatever, if you do it in the public realm, you're going to get scrutinized and critiqued beyond measure. I mean, the most powerful person in the world, President of the United States, whether it was Trump, whether it was Obama before him, you get criticized and scrutinized all day, every day. Kevin Durant happens to be one of the best players we've ever seen on one of the best teams we've ever seen. And like you said, add into that you're going to be a free agent, or you can be a free agent. Add into that all of a sudden you've been available for every podcast all season long, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the Knicks make a trade where they can get you and another star, you go dark on the media. I mean, this just comes with the territory. And so if you don't want public scrutiny, then don't be prolific in a public job. It's as simple as that. And Doug, you're criticized. I'm criticized. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, they're all criticized. If you can't take it, then don't be in that profession. If you just want to play basketball, that's not how it works. You want to be a guy at the Y and open gyms and nobody cares about you? No, you want to play ball. You want to get the millions. You want to get all the fame and all the perks that go with that. That this is part of what comes with the territory.
Yeah, but what is he supposed to answer? Right? Like, what is he if he says, "Hey, look,
he's not getting anything that LeBron James isn't getting, and that Kyrie Irving isn't getting or hasn't gotten, and they've been able to handle it." I mean, he could have easily been like, look, I don't want to talk about free agency. And again, it's not only the media either. It's his own teammate Draymond brought it up in the heat of a game. So he's putting it on the media. It's not just the media. And I think Durant has to recognize his personality type, which is fine. It's not a criticism, but his personality type cannot handle constantly seeing social media, criticism, speculation. I think you should get off social media.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I actually think he's addicted to it.
That.
Look, I think he's addicted to it.
I think LeBron recognized it when after the Dallas series, when he couldn't, he stopped being on social media during the playoffs because he couldn't stand seeing that stuff. And you get voices in your head. And I think he has to realize that that's the type of person he is, and he should get off of it.
I agree with you. Listen, we've all gone through a period. I've at least gone through a period of time. I don't know what you were like when you left your last job. Like, where you feel like, am I still relevant if I'm not on there or whatever?
Right.
No,
right.
And you will be. It's like, and it's like, well, this is a necessary evil. Anyway,
that's kind of what it is. Because I think any human being can relate to not wanting to be criticized and scrutinized and psychoanalyzed. I mean, and I know it because I've read articles about me where people speculated about who was a source of mine or who said this and gave me that, and they were completely wrong. And I was like, dude, what are they doing? And, I get why Durant might feel that way, but it, like you said, it's just kind of a necessary evil with the job. And, you're paid handsomely to deal with it. And I know money doesn't answer all problems, but it's a heck of a consolation.
Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Chris Broussard. Check out The Odd Couple every day, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Chris, great stuff. Thanks so much for joining us.
All right, Doug. Thanks, man.